So we're at a pretty critical time in Massachusetts, and it's a time when we need to move the state forward to be both prosperous and fair. I think it's crucial that we do both those things, that we turn this economy around for everybody, not just people at the top, not just Wall Street. I think everybody needs to share in that. We need to do the best job we can educating our kids.
I think it's hard to name one keystone issue in any Commonwealth, but if you have to name one, it's education here. I want to pursue it at 3 levels. Preschool preparation. I'm a pediatrician. I understand the needs of kids before they're 5, before they're 3rd graders even, and they need help to be able to be successful in school. We'll have universal pre-K if I'm governor, and we will invest in readiness in 3rd grade for reading. As Joe said, it's key.
I majored in music, but I would have majored in anthropology. I took many courses, and it was probably, for me, the liberating subject that allowed me to look at my own background, you know, the tripartite background, as you put it so succinctly, and that allowed me to look at each culture and its value systems, you know, the priorities that each culture places on a value, and suddenly those places in that were kind of muddled in my mind gained a little bit of clarity.
A writer has to find a voice, a speaker has to find a voice, but as a musician you have to find your own voice.
Absolutely.
It's interesting, and that voice comes from the sum total of who you are and your own passions.
I think so. It comes from where you start off, but I think in the end, it's really what you do with the voice, right? So you have a voice. What do you choose to do?
I want to first of all embrace the internet because it's amazing. I imagine that the investigative journalists here could regale us with story after story about what they found and how they found it, and what great use it is. And it is for me as well. I mean, I believe in the dissemination of as much information. I'd like some of it to be more truthful, but indeed it is an amazing thing at what we now have at our fingertips. At the same time, I think it has presented us with a lot of challenges as journalists that we haven't quite yet figured out how to do, and I think we lose things in the process. I think it's an amazing tool that is not always used well. So I worry about that we are not talking about the things that touch people's lives.
Now, President Obama has announced that he's going to host what will be the last nuclear security summit of his tenure in office in Washington in 2016. Tell us a little bit about what your expectations are, what you'd like to be able to achieve in that last summit of President Obama's term.
Well, I think one of the things that I hope we can continue to work on is the international consensus around the threat. You heard some of the important characterization in Samantha's laydown of the challenges that we have. And the way I look about it from a nuclear terrorism point of view is that nuclear terrorism is a combination of motivation, capability, and opportunity. And terrorists are clearly whatever the ups and downs of any various Al-Qaeda, core or periphery or whatever may be, there's always going to be some catastrophic terrorists out there, whatever their motivation, whatever their goals, who are seeking the ability to make massive effect, human, economic, political, that would come from any kind of a nuclear terrorism attack. So that is constant, if not growing. The other term is the capability, and there the spread of technology, the spread of knowledge also means that terrorist capability will continue to grow. The only term in this equation that states have control over is the opportunity. It is the material. If you don't have the material, you don't have nuclear terrorism.
When we did the pilot, I think we all thought this is the kind of thing it's too good to get picked up.
You would watch it, but who else would watch it?
Right. And Scott Sassett said, so we're picking it up. We want to know what you have in mind for, the season, what sort of arcs you have. And Aaron famously said, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, that might have been it.
When I read the pilot, apparently I was alone in this, but I thought this show was going to last 2 terms. I had no doubt about it. I had no doubt in my mind. I didn't know what level of success. I didn't know if it was going to be a top 10 show or somewhere in the middle of the pack. But I just figured it would last 8 years. I didn't know that we were starting in the middle of our 2nd year. So as it turned out, it lasted 7 years, the full 2 terms. But I wasn't keeping track once we aired of how successful we were. I was shocked at the end of the season when I went back out into the world how many people were affected as deeply as they were and how much of a success we were. I had no idea at the end of the year that we were that successful.